Good day, beloved. We have a beautiful Sunday on our hands here. I appreciate you taking some time to share with me. I want us to jump right into Genesis this morning. Let's go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 24 and 25, just to get us going. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be of one flesh. And they were both naked, and the man and his wife were not ashamed. We're going to talk a little bit today about leading your family and not going with the flow of the world and the flow of the way everything in society is going and everything in culture is going, because there's been all sorts of different cultures throughout the course of time. There's been all sorts of different things, societies, with all sorts of different ways of living, even to cultures that thought cannibalism and human sacrifice were just decent things to be doing. So I think that gives us an indication that culture is not something that we need to be following. I wanted to start out in Genesis with these particular verses because I've been thinking a lot lately, and my wife and I were talking about our marriage. My brother-in-law recently got married. My mother-in-law got with my wife and said that she wanted some photos from our marriage. It's a difficult, man, these flies are terrible, I apologize. That's a difficult thing for us because we don't have any good pictures of our wedding day. Now, we got pictures done on our wedding day. Maybe it's just taken me this long, over a decade, to figure out where I stand with that. I'm going to take you back in time. 2015, my wife and I were getting married. We wanted to do something simple. We wanted to put more focus on the honeymoon rather than the wedding itself. Weddings are just a big money sink, and we didn't want to put a lot of money into a wedding. We didn't know, with my family being as big as it is and her family being as big as it is, like, who all do we invite? Do we invite everybody? Because that's a huge wedding. We got to have a huge space, lots of food. Do we invite just immediate family? Well, then it gets, we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And my wife and I just wanted a good honeymoon. We wanted to go and actually kick our marriage off with something good. And that was kind of where we were at. We wanted to just go to the courthouse, get married, have all of our family get together for a nice dinner, and then we would leave later on that night and just go on a good, week, 2-week honeymoon and just enjoy each other's company, kick off our marriage. Because to me and my wife, even back then, I remember we talked specifically about the marriage being much more... Hey, it's a new clip. The wife called. Even back when we were getting married, all those years ago, we talked a lot about the marriage itself being a lot more important to us than the wedding. So we just really didn't want to do a big thing. And because of outside influences, because of what everyone else wanted to do, all of a sudden we ended up doing a wedding. We were just going to invite immediate family. We weren't going to invite a bunch of other people. People on my wife's side got invited that, nobody extra on my side got invited because we told people not to invite anybody. So it's like, okay, well, now my wife's grandma gets to see us get married. Well, what about my grandma? So things weren't even. We were pretty upset about that. Then we left there, which we just did at a place that my family had available. We didn't have to do any rent or anything. It wasn't like it was in a pretty location or anything. My wife didn't really plan on getting a wedding dress that was all fancy, so she was kind of backed into a corner and got something that was a little bit more revealing than what she what she even wanted. so she wasn't even comfortable in the dress that she was in. We got pictures done. The pictures turned out terribly because we weren't really planning on doing anything big until, a little while before the wedding was actually going to take place. Anytime we talk about our wedding, we just try to deflect to a honeymoon that we very much enjoyed, and we don't really like talking about our wedding. And that is a very good example of what I should have known when I was at that point in my life. With this fresh on our mind, we were in Genesis chapter 2, and it said, "Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh." So, if we jump to Ephesians chapter 5, verse 31. "For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be of one flesh." So that's in the Old Testament and the New Testament, practically word for word. I mean, obviously there's a little bit of a difference there, but that's pretty obvious there. "Leave his father and mother, and shall become joined with his wife, and they two shall be one flesh." If I would have had a better understanding of what this was actually telling me when I got married, things would have went a lot different, because I would have put a lot more weight in me and my wife had made a decision, and we're moving forward with what me and my wife decide is best. I was very, I was young, and I didn't really know a sense of direction in the world that I really was headed. I had, Christ in my heart when I grew up, and I turned away from that during a lot of years of my life. And I didn't have somebody that was telling me this wisdom that the Bible has laid out for us. I mean, right here in Ephesians, I'm going to do a future video diving in on this, but just Ephesians chapter 5, verses 25 to 33 is specifically talking about being a godly husband. We're going to go into this, in more depth later on for sure. But I didn't have anybody telling me this when I was going into it, and I could have given my wife a lot better of an experience that we would not look back on unfondly anytime that it gets brought up. And it was kind of a weird out of the blue reminder, because we don't really talk about it much. We haven't talked about it for a long time. We don't have pictures of our wedding up on the wall because we didn't like the pictures that we had of our wedding. We didn't really look good in the outfits we were in. We really just didn't want to do a big thing. We wanted to just get married and go enjoy a honeymoon and get started on a marriage. The wedding was just not that important to us. Call us weird, but this is just how it was. And I wish that I would have understood the beauty of what a marriage is, and the beauty of two people that are joining together, putting their lives, their finances, everything that they have into one basket and into one flesh, making a decision and moving forward with it, and saying to hell with the rest of the world. That's something that I wish I would have learned long before I actually did, and I wish I would have been able to articulate and understand on a bigger level when I was getting married. And this is part of the point that I've been hitting on lately, as far as being equally yoked with the person that you decide to settle down with. I truly believe that if you actually date properly, you have the proper things in mind, you're on the same page with the person you're getting married with, you have the best shot of moving forward together and actually having a successful marriage. Now, obviously, times change and people change. That's just not the point. The point of the matter is, at each step, you're making the best decisions that you can at that point. You know, you don't know what 5 years down the road is going to mean, but you do know that when you're dating, there's a purpose as to why you're doing it. And so this is kind of the point that I'm trying to hit on lately. And rather than hitting on the dating portion, I really want to hit on those early stages of marriage and the early years, and when you're kind of sinking into how things are going to work moving forward. Look, I don't have a degree in marriage psychology. I have life experience, and I'm telling you what I believe would work for anyone that's getting into this. You make of it what you will, take it with a grain of salt. I'm saying that the best thing that you can do is trust in conversations with you and your wife, and do the best that you can to talk to the Lord. Have Him at the center of all of your decisions that you're making. Pray together with your wife. Move forward with what you guys want to do. That doesn't mean don't take advice from people. You know, it's like I said in one of my past videos. Take it if you look at somebody and you're like, holy crap, these people have been married for 40 years and they still love each other and they enjoy each other's company. More importantly, where are their kids on holidays? Where are their kids between holidays? This is very telling. These are things you need to pay attention to. How do you want your life to look with your kids when you're grown up? If you want your kids to come over and just stop by and have dinner just for the sake of being around you, find people whose kids do that into adulthood. Figure out what they did when they raised their kids. If you want, take that person that's been married for 45 years. You want to be married successfully for 45 years, figure out what those two are doing. Take it into your life. Take what you want, take what you don't want. Try to be wise with your decision. Pray to the Lord. If He is at the center of you and your wife's heart, you guys are going to be successful and you're going to enjoy a lot of years, And if this is something that sounds along the lines of what you would like to experience in your life, you would be very wise to, if you're in the dating period, make sure that you're on the same page with your wife over a lot of these things, because it will become very relevant later on in the marriage. When the kids come along, just in any stage, you're going to have something pop up that you didn't really foresee coming, and it's going to become very relevant. And the closer the more yoked you are with that woman that you're marrying, the more successful your marriage is going to be. Sorry, these flies are landing all over my legs. Anyway, I took notes for this one, guys. So we looked at Genesis and we looked at Ephesians. Old Testament, New Testament, almost word for word. When the Bible says something multiple times, especially so closely worded, there's some serious knowledge and wisdom in it. We need to pay attention. Now, also, with the Genesis part of it, it said, and I know this isn't directly relevant, but they were naked and they were not ashamed. If you're dating and you are happily moving into a marriage with that woman, you need to move forward with it and not be ashamed about what you two want in the marriage, because your marriage is not contingent on anybody outside of it. And if it is, you guys are doing something wrong from the get-go, and we should probably fix that. If the mother-in-law has something to say with the actual marriage itself, this is a problem on either side. Father-in-law, cousins, friends. Friends can be dangerous sometimes, you know what I mean? And I'm not telling you to just completely cut people out of your life, but there's sensitive ways of handling it. Also, if somebody is not in a position that you're wanting to be in, maybe not take advice from them. Maybe not listen to what they have to say about life. If you don't want to be single, don't listen to single people when they say, let's go out for the weekend, let's have a good time, let's not worry about, building our relationship with our husband or our wife or the Lord, whatever have you. I mean, literally, the reason I make it a point to try and get out and actually give you some different backdrops with something pretty in the background. But I'm telling you right now, right behind me is the prettiest background that I could ever give you guys. You guys just don't see it. This is my little brick wall in the world. My family lives on the other side of that brick wall. That is the best background that I would ever choose for myself. Of any beautiful place, and I live in a very beautiful part of the world, but anything that I would choose to have behind me would be my wife and my children, because that is the glory of what I'm doing here. I am here, and the Lord has put me in charge of stewarding this family and leading them back to Jesus to the best of my ability that I possibly can. And I pray every day that I can do that in the way that the Lord wants me to do that. And He is really leading me to understand that I have failed in years past, and not standing up for what me and my wife have chosen, and kind of going in line with what other people have said as far as tradition, as far as how they would want things done, this, that, you know what I mean? Even with the way that families get together on holidays, I've had to put my foot down pretty heavily with the way that certain things have been done, because I kind of got sick of footing the bill for, 18, 19 people getting together to eat every holiday. You know what I mean? I don't mind doing every now and then, but when you realize that you're just getting taken advantage of, it changes a lot. And, I'll tell you what, Thanksgiving last year went real dang well, because I put my foot down and people almost had to find another place to go, which was making me and my wife feel really bad. Everybody kind of conceded. Everybody brought something and contributed, and you know what? We had so much dang food, and everybody got to take something home. We contributed all the way around, and everybody had a good time. You know what I mean? I had to just be the butthole. I had to trust what me and my wife had talked about. I had to trust what the Lord was telling me, and I had to stand up for that and just put my foot down. And you know what? We've had a lot better experience, getting together with that side of the family ever since. Not that it was terrible before, but, certain things had gotten out of hand and needed to be kind of fair all the way around, and also needed to be a better family environment because there was lots of children around. And I don't mind having a couple of drinks, but we don't need to be getting ridiculously out of hand while we're together for a family get together. Trust what you and your wife decide and move forward with that. As long as you and your wife have decided something, and you and your wife have talked to God about it and are on the same page about it, you move forward with that, and you stop worrying about what everybody else has to say. Because if I would have done that a lot earlier in my life, I guarantee I would be in a lot different of a position than I would be right now. And that has a lot of backstory that goes with it. But life's complicated, isn't it? I post these things because I want you guys to learn from what I have learned. I'm not trying to come from a place of weird authority and push it on you guys. I'm trying to teach what I have learned so that you guys can have a better shot of keeping your marriage together and keeping a family that wants to be together. And strong families are the best thing that you could ever have backing you up. Hence the background for this video. I would choose nothing other than my family to strengthen me moving forward aside from Christ Almighty. Beloved, we need to trust in the Lord. The Lord is who we submit to as a good husband, a good godly husband. Right back in Ephesians. We'll jump back to Ephesians really quick, because remember, this whole section, chapter 5, 25 to 33, talks about husbands. I'm sure that was probably a weird cut. I lost the verse, so it took me a second. But right back here in Ephesians chapter 5, if we look at verse 22, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. The husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as the church is subject to Christ, So let wives be to their own husbands in everything. Christ is responsible for the church. Christ loves the church with every part of his being, and Christ would do anything for his church to keep it without blemish, as it says in, verse 27 here, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. Christ loves the church with every part of his being, and so we as husbands are instructed to love our wives with every part of our being. And we as husbands submit to the Lord. The wives submit to the husband. That is the order of the household. And if we're following that, not only have I learned you decide with your wife and the Lord and move forward with that decision, and to hell with all outside influence, aside from people that you trust for advice, which you obviously talk to the Lord about. Aside from that, if I've learned anything, my wife is a very wise woman because she has the Lord in her heart, and she knows, as any good wife does after, however long we've been married now. She knows how to talk to me, and she knows how to listen to the Lord. And I know how to talk to the Lord, and I'm getting better at listening to it. I'm getting better at listening to my wife as well. This is, the Lord's plan is so beautiful in this way, because when a man and a woman come together and they make a decision together, that's because the man is listening to the wife who knows how to talk to him. And she can talk things into his ear in a way that sometimes nothing else really can. And I know for a fact the Lord knew that going in. So he facilitated it. That's one of the best things about having a good woman at your side, or a good woman backing you up with a good family. Because a good woman strengthens that family and makes it cozy and makes it a place that you want to be. And she also knows how to talk to a bear cat and make it soothe for a little bit so that it can listen more intently. Think about Snow White. Anybody else comes around and the little things run all over the place, and Snow White comes around with her soft voice and everything is calm and listens. You should see the chickens in our yard when my wife walks outside. She knows how to talk to a bear cat. Trust what your wife is saying. Talk to the Lord together. Pray together. Pray separately. Build your lives based on what you and your wife choose is best. And you as a man need to have the balls to stand up and put your foot down and say, this is what me and my wife have chosen, and we're moving forward with that. Take this piece of advice with you. This is much longer than I wanted this video to go, but I think it's an important point, and I think a lot of you good men out there that are early on in this would be very wise to learn. If you think I'm wrong, feel free to tell me I'm an idiot in the comments. It's alright. At least it's discussion. At least we have something to learn from it, or something to gain, hopefully. Take this lesson about you, or with you through your week. We'll talk again on Wednesday, if not sooner. Trust your wife. Trust what she's saying, if she has got the Lord in her heart. As long as you're equally yoked, you should be able to trust that woman's words, and they will strengthen you, and they will make you more of a wise man, and they will strengthen the family. Because if you're equally yoked, you both want what's best for the family, and that is a beautiful place to be in this world. The world has a lot of beautiful things to offer, much like the backgrounds that I usually try to give you guys. But there is nothing in this world that is even remotely as beautiful as a family that's got your back. I appreciate your time. Really think about this lesson and think about how you can implement it in your life. Start talking to the Lord with your wife. I plan to do the same. A lot more. All it's going to do is make things better, my man. That's all it's going to do. Keep that family together. Talk at you later. Look at this beautiful thing I got backing me up.